Hi, and welcome to the Imperfect podcast. My name is Deb Crow, and I will be your host. Join me on this journey as we meet heart-centered leaders from all over the globe. Lots of interesting questions, interesting conversation, and find out what makes a leader. How do they handle uncertainty and complexity? How do they lead in a time that is volatile? Join us. Welcome back to Imperfect, the Heart-Centered Leadership podcast. And I've shared with you that my word for 2021 is joy. So it's so fitting to introduce you to my guest today. His name is Jeff Baietto, and he is the co-founder and CEO of InJoy Global. InJoy Global is a culture shaping company that is truly dedicated to transforming workplace culture. Can't wait to talk to Jeff about that. They help with employee engagement, they help with solutions to develop workforce to strengthen your culture in teamwork, shared purpose, commitment to performance, and just overall enhancement is their bottom line. I'm excited to talk to Jeff today. Our worlds collided in 2020 through a colleague, and I recently ran a 30-day heart-centered leadership challenge on the platform. Lots of goodness to share. So Jeff, Happy New Year, my friend, and welcome to the show.
Hey, Deb, thanks so much. Happy New Year to you. And thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, you are a fellow podcaster, so I know how much fun it is to be on the other side of the mic on the receiving end. So I hope I can deliver to you what you extended to me on your podcast. So I'm going to jump right in with the leadership questions if you're ready.
I'm ready.
I would love for you to share with the listeners how you fostered your vision and your passion and really packaged your leadership as a whole to bring InJoy Global to the world. Give us a little glimpse and a little storytelling of how this all unfolded.
Beautiful. Well, I'll go a little bit further back probably than you'd expect. But when I was just a kid, when I was in eighth grade, I had what they clinically diagnosed as a bad attitude. I was butting heads with my parents, especially my dad. I'm from a very small town in Wisconsin. And to his credit, instead of writing it off to those, kind of preteen years, he gave me Earl Nightingale's Strangest Secret in the World tape, which tape cassette back then, and asked me to listen to it, which I reluctantly did. And then I listened, and then I listened, and then I really listened. And that put me on a path of, it was the first time I had ever heard anyone speak of mindset and the power that we all have to create by being more conscious of our thoughts and how to set goals and what a meaningful life and success actually meant. And so that I just became enthralled. I dove into everything I could in the self-help arena. I was the most positive kid in my hometown by a lot. There were only a few, there weren't very many of us. It was a very small town, but it was a beautiful start. And it really was one of those seminal moments that set me on a journey that I hoped at some point during my life, I would be able to work in a way and have a career in a way that would help other people be exposed to, develop the muscles, do the work that I was finding such joy in, and that was opening so much life to me. And it was a very windy road. It went through the video game world, which I wouldn't have ever guessed would have had something to do with what I do now, except for the fact that we use gamification as a big way of kind of tricking our brain to enjoy growth and the challenges that come with forming new habits. So that was a real key component to my journey as well. And then I got my master's in spiritual psychology when I was kind of at a point, I was just 30 or something like that, and really wanting to make a decision into choose into something that I really wanted to do, like a passion-led, heart-centered career. And I didn't know how to do that. And then I found this program, and it was a beautiful 2-year journey of using myself as a guinea pig to see what areas of my life were working, what beliefs I held, which areas of my life weren't working, and what beliefs I held there. And then learning about, deconstructing and getting in there and figuring out how to reconstruct beliefs and start plans to nurturingly grow in a way that I wanted to. And over the last, now over a decade, it's been focused on, in corporate America, on developing culture. And I have an amazing co-founder and partner. And our team, again, we've just gratefully and thankfully found a very powerful and amazing small group of people, but the creativity and the output and the inspiration I derive from them it just doesn't feel like work. So all those kind of quotes have become real for me of, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And following your heart, but it took a while. It wasn't something that, at 8, I knew I wanted to be a doctor and that was it. It took me a lot of trial and error, and I'm just very, very grateful that over the last decade, it's refined into this. And I've never been more on purpose and never been more joyful about what we're doing now.
Well, I can certainly attest to what a fun experience it was. And I do remember our first phone call, and I don't even know if I've ever shared with you. I was so nervous to call and felt so out of my comfort zone. And I literally just said a little prayer and thought, here we grow. Like, we cannot grow unless we go to those scary little places, just even moving our foot a little bit, toed out from that comfort zone. And it was such an engaging conversation. And I think the word joy has so much merit for you. I see it in how you speak about life and yourself and your company. And if we just could allow joy to be part of our mission of what we see to be what's most important, especially now given the world, to allow that joy to just be in our journey and not allow it to be futuristic or, get caught up in our goals, but just embracing what we have now. And I think that pause button, otherwise known as the COVID-19 pandemic, I think a lot of good and a lot of merit has come out of that. And I think the platform that you've allowed, the culture you've created, is really going to open a lot of doors for other companies who may think, well, maybe we're not big enough to have it. And I can say, as a solopreneur on my own, what a benefit it was to me. And I learned something in the process, that we truly grow when we allow ourselves to get out of that comfort zone. So I love the story. I love the decade of, I'm sure you had many fall forwards that you could share. And it's going to lead me into my next question. Go figure. So what everyone gets asked this on my podcast, what imperfections have you brought to your heart-centered leadership?
Yeah, I love this question. And so just before I answer, I just want to also compliment you on, I love that. I don't know that you had shared that you were nervous when you called for the first time. And I love the phrase, here we grow. That's just beautiful. But you in the time that I've known you, have the energy, and it's what we're all looking for. It's that kind of willingness, right, to continue to grow, even though you're an expert and you've been doing the work you've been doing for decades. There's still this. I have a 5-year-old now, and I watch with amazement how quickly he grows and how excited he is to learn. And that quality often gets kind of, I don't know, burnt out or extinguished or something over time, right? And you haven't lost that. You really represent this eagerness to grow and learn, despite being this complete expert in your field. And I just love that. I think that's, again, something that we're all trying to get back in touch with, or just fanning that flame. So anyway, I just wanted to acknowledge that, because I love that, one, that you admitted that that's how you felt, but two, that's it. Like, when we're feeling that, that's probably a sign that we should do it. So beautiful.
Absolutely. You know what? There's so much merit in just, People may refer to it as wearing our heart on our sleeve. I like to call it elements or qualities of heart-centered leadership: humility, transparency, authenticity.
Mm,
And at the end of the day, I know that you wake up in the morning and have a cup of coffee and get ready just like I do.
mm.
So not getting, seeing each other as whole people and not CEOs or, you know, people with stature. How about just someone else who shares the arena of heart-centered leadership with joy and action to be?
Yeah, beautifully said. That reminder that we're all afraid. Like fear, no matter who we admire, everyone's going through challenges. Everyone has their self doubts and all those things. It's just really a matter of um, doing it anyway, and going for it and acknowledging the fact that that's how I'm feeling. And anyway, we're all more resilient. Hopefully, in 2020, if it taught us anything, that we are more resilient than we thought, and that we have more resourcefulness than we thought. I think there were just thousands and thousands of examples of that across the world. Um, and I hope that stays, right? That just sticks with us. So to your question, the imperfections I brought, I think I love this question because I really feel like I have a lot of imperfections. So I feel like this is something I can easily talk about for a very long time. But one or two of the bigger ones, one of the ones that I've watched kind of more closely over the last couple of years is when I first got into this. And then I looked back, and this was really a theme for me, is I was not confident enough to be the face of anything, to be the voice, or to have it be my thing. And what I mean by that is I needed it to be someone else's idea, and then I could be the second or I could be the third. But if it was my idea and it failed, which again, I didn't realize I wasn't as conscious of this kind of playing out, but I was really identified with the idea. And so a failure of an idea was a failure of me personally. And so I shied away from that. I think it goes back. I think there's a lot of examples in when I was younger of wanting to do something, trying to do something. And if it didn't, I was good at a lot of things. And that's where I got praise and encouragement. And I really quickly, and I was sensitive as a kid. And so I really quickly distinguished, I'm good at this, stay in this world, try something, but if it doesn't work, quickly get out of it. And where I ended up playing it safe was wanting someone else to stand in front. And so this being so much InJoy being so much of my heart and so much of my desire has been the first place that I've really had to and wanted to be in front. And my co-founder and business partner, she's amazing. She was always in front her entire career. She was a CEO like from age 10 she had started, but she had a very leader. She's always had a very leader quality. And I was drawn to that. And it was also safe for me. And over the time, she's been really wonderful. And the way that our company has grown, it's allowed for me to be to be that first. So I think that's my biggest imperfection, was not being confident enough or comfortable enough to take the risk to put my idea out there and let people disagree with it or not like it maybe and deal with that and be okay with the fact that not everyone's going to agree with me, not everyone's going to think my idea is wonderful, and still be comfortable and have the confidence and just the desire to move forward regardless of what anyone else was saying.
I commend you for the vulnerability, and I want to add one element. Not everyone's going to like you or your idea, and
Yeah.
that's okay, because I think that's another element of how we grow, is really embracing other people's opinions, but not allowing them to succumb how we feel about self or interrupt or decrease our own self-awareness that we bring to leadership. So powerful.
So true. I also credit that same lesson in helping me find my wife, right? Like that was that same lesson. I was at a point where I was aware that I wanted everyone to like me. And that happened as well, kind of in the dating world. And it wasn't until I realized it was okay that some didn't like me because I didn't Like I was looking for one partner, like I was really looking for. And so with that, I wanted to be as specific and honest and open as possible. And hopefully not everyone would like me. Like it was the first time I really realized like everyone liking me wasn't going to help. I wanted to find someone who really fit. And but that was a very big, like pivotal moment for me to change I remember, that was a longer story, but basically just changing my intention around who I wanted to attract and who I wanted to have and putting that me out there. And I think within like 6 weeks of that, I had met my wife and that was just another testament to being okay with not having everyone like me.
What an interesting concept, right?
Yeah.
Now, I know I have seen you do a lot of your quick tips, primarily on the Twitter platform. And when I was preparing for our podcast interview, my mind kept going, where is this coming from? So, my third question is, you have so many valuable tips and strategies and suggestions for positive culture to help out with different scenarios that can help engage employees, help with performance, all the things that would fall, I'm going to say, under an HR umbrella. Did you have an experience that led you to these quick tips? Did you have a boss that perhaps was not heart-centered? Or what led you to really step into your greatness and share your expertise on this particular platform within InJoy Global?
It's not so much about work as it is about you're the heart-centered guru, but being heart-centered for me and having a life that I was genuinely excited about, that was the bigger picture. And I realized that the things that help there, when I would read self-help books or go to seminars or workshops, or as I mentioned, I did my master's in spiritual psychology, like all of those programs were designed to to make us feel more alive, to get more in touch with who we really are. If that's the work, then when that's applied anywhere, and we happen to apply it in corporate America, and now, the platform is designed for creators to support the great work that a lot of authors and speakers and coaches are doing. But when it's applied anywhere, people get better, right? So in corporate America, if we're subtly, what we're actually doing is our platform is designed to help people be their best selves, doing the things that everyone since the beginning of time has said it's the way. These are the muscles, these are the habits, these are the mindsets and the skills. Like that's not new. There have been amazing, thought leaders for thousands of years who have pointed at what we need to do to live a wonderful, joyful, truly successful life. And so that information's out there. And I think for me, the journey's always been personal, right? I wanted to enjoy work. I want to enjoy my relationships. I want to enjoy my life, my health, and all those things as well. And so does everyone else. And so for companies, it just happens to have a very strong application for everything. It's always been weird to me more when I looked at business. I've always been an entrepreneur, so I didn't have a boss that I didn't like or any of those things. But what I realized was that we spend a ton of time at work. We all do. I had read the statistics, just in general, that most people didn't like their jobs. But what my moral crisis was that I hit a place and would wake up in the middle of the night like I'm not on purpose. When I was in my 20s, I had what looked like a great job. I worked with friends and it was a wonderful industry, but I wasn't on purpose. So every 6 months I would wake up with hey, if you die tomorrow, this isn't why you came. This isn't it. And so what do you do? What are you going to do about that? And that's, I think, in maybe an extreme example, but for most of us, if we're not happy, we're not going to give our best selves. If we're not joyful, if we don't feel on purpose, if we don't feel connected to the mission, the values, the goals of the organization we're working for, they're not going to get our best selves. The company wants our best selves because that's where we're most creative, where we go above and beyond, where we deliver the best customer service, and where we, are the most innovative. All of the things that a company would like, no matter what the size. We all want these things. How to do that is to help a person be their best selves. And there's kind of universally a handful of things for us that work for everybody, a hand of exercises, and that are researched. These are not Jeff or InJoy created. These are neuroscientists and again, thousands of years of just the wisest people on the planet speaking to the way to cultivate our mind to create in a beneficial way.
Well, I love that. And I love how you coined the phrase moral crisis. It's kind of like taking my word joy, and it's like a self-audit question. Am I acting in joy? Does this bring me joy? And moral crisis, it's certainly going to redirect you to where you want to go, but more importantly, where you don't want to go. So very inspiring. I love that. We are just coming off of a very rocky year of 2020. Our city in London, Ontario, Canada is back in lockdown. It's been a hard time for a lot of people. My last question for leadership, Jeff, is when you look back at 2020, who's a leader who really stood out in your eyes and why?
Hmm. So personally, and I find more of these examples become very personal to me. So there are a couple women who started a Waldorf inspired public school that our son was going to go to this year. It's a charter school in Los Angeles, which is the second largest school district in the country. And nobody likes charter schools, like the teachers. And so the process of them getting, and my wife's on the board. And so it's a very, personal thing. But this group of mostly women, with people picketing outside of meetings and just being mean and harassing them over their sole intention to provide a free version of an education that normally costs $20,000 plus a year and is reserved to the elite financially, to make that available for everyone. Like, that's their sole intention. It hurt my heart. And yet, so when the lockdown came, so they finally get approved, and then COVID hits, right? And they're just getting launched. They just got approved, all this very years of preparation. And now they can't open their school. It's going to be the first year in September, and they can't open. And to watch the resiliency, the innovation, the creativity, the dedication that they and their teachers, and then ultimately the parents as well, but that group of, again, mainly women, just blew me away, because their commitment and dedication in the face of everything I've seen over the last several years, and then to get thrown, again, this gigantic curveball that even with all the support would have been enormously hard, but with so much adversity, they were amazing. And they continued to create an experience for my son that I was blown away with. I have no idea how they did it, but they created a kindergarten class for him that has been nothing short of extraordinary. And I'm eternally grateful to them for that.
Well, it's interesting. I will share with you my leader of 2020 that I really aspire to is Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand. I love her heart-centered leadership. I'm going to get her on my podcast. It's a goal for 2021. So let's put it out there right now.
Yes.
And one of her favorite quotes from last year is, she said, "You can't ask other people to believe you and vote for you if you don't back yourself." So one of the things that I love, which is really in alignment with your platform at InJoy Global, leadership isn't about the initials after your name. It's not about stature. It's not about your title. It's about leading people and have people follow you, not manage them, but follow you, and lead with the virtues of heart-centered leadership, which starts with self-awareness. And how you lead is how your culture grows, defines, sustains itself. And I'm always intrigued that sometimes people don't look with open eyes that a culture is truly formed by the leadership at the helm and their behavior.
It's so interesting that we talk with a lot of executives and managers and leaders, and we forget how powerful the example we set is. We forget. And so when people are doing challenges and the focus is on appreciating small things that team members have done, or acknowledging without fail, every single time we're doing a challenge, several executives will come to us and they'll say, I cannot believe how many people have come up to me and thanked me for just noticing some of the work that they're doing, or high-fiving them or congratulating them virtually on the platform. And they're reminded of the power that they hold, that we all hold, certainly if our position gives us that, but that we all are being watched. We're all being watched, and the example that we set is powerful. And so I think this is important for leaders. It's important for the C-suite, but it's also important for all of us to realize that we are showing what we are, how we're being is what we actually stand for, right? And so we can all be a great example of what's most important to us. And if there's one thing that I hope that COVID did, the silver lining in this last year, has showed us what's most important and reminded us of what's most important to us. And when we live from those places, ultimately it's our values. What is it that we value? And if we live from that on a daily basis, the choices we make, if we run them through a filter of, does this fit with my values? Is this the person I want to be? If we do that, no matter where we are in an organization, where we are in life, we end up being a very powerful way shower just of what's possible. And that this is the way we transform not only organizations, but the world. We all choose values that are important to us and then live from those. And so that's what our clients, when they're focused, when they get the impact that they have as leaders, and then they define what that means. What being a leader means is acting with a certain set of values that are defined by a certain set of kinds of behaviors or ways of being. Then they really start to consistently model a certain behavior. They show up that way. And when we start to see that, we all start to move in that direction, or it's uncomfortable and we self-select out. But either way, over time, it starts to become a very unifying and powerful force. And as consumers, we are looking for that more and more. We want companies that we believe in, not just the products that they have, but that we believe what they stand for, that they represent, and are in lockstep with things that we value. So it's important on every level of business, and but I think it's bigger than that as well. If we're going to lead, let's be good humans. Let's stand for things that make us proud of just being a good person, and as well as a good executive, a good leader in our organization.
I don't even know how to respond to that. So I'm just going to mic drop that because that was beautiful. Fellow podcaster, right? I'm sitting here smiling ear to ear going, that is framed so beautifully. I'm not even going to add to it because I'm just going to put a period and go, well done. I'm going to switch to my Fab Four. We're going to learn 4 fun things about Jeff. First question. What's one thing about Jeff that you would say people don't know about you?
Most people don't know that I did stand-up comedy for a little bit, not well, but it was my greatest fear. And so one of my best friends at the time this is the only way I would have actually gotten into the course, is she found a great teacher in LA and signed us both up for it. And then life took her in a different direction. So I ended up doing it unfortunately without her, but I studied with this amazing, heart-centered comedian. And for that year, I did like, I think 3 12-week courses. And the scariest at the end of those, we performed publicly at one of the famous places in LA. And those were the scariest, like 3, 5, and 7 minutes of my life, as my set got a little bit longer each time. But that's something that I don't often share.
I love that.
Yeah.
I do love that. And now that makes sense for one of your coworkers and why you two get on so well. I'm
Mm.
getting clarity here. I love it.
Mm.
All right, second question. Without thinking, share with us one of your favorite memories from your life.
Mm. Um, Studying in Spain. I had the opportunity to study for a semester in Sevilla, which is in the south of Spain. And it was the moment that's coming to mind is I had a teacher, an American teacher who was engaged to the only American bullfighter that had ever like earned his, I forget what they call it in Spain. It was a very big deal. And she, in our very first class, said this. She said, part of your homework is going to be to get lost in the city, to not pay attention to where you're going, just wander, just look around, just smell the smells and listen to the sounds and just get lost. She said, it's not about the book work. It's not about the homework. I'm not going to be giving you normal homework. I had never heard a teacher say this. Like books and homework was like a huge deal. And here someone was saying, your homework is life. Your homework is exploring. Your homework is being present in where you are and what's going on right now. And that opened the door and the permission. And Spain, those 4 or 5 months in Spain gave me a totally different perspective that has helped balance who I was before that in so many ways that I often reflect on that. But there's something super special about the south of Spain. And there's a lot of beautiful memories, but that's the one that came to mind right away.
That's beautiful. You just took me there. I want to go there.
Mm.
If you had to sit down with the 14-year-old Jeff, what advice would you give him?
Oh, I've done a lot of work with my younger self, and I would tell him that he's loved. Like that for who he is, not for what he does, that he is loved and he is lovable and that he is love, period. Like in all the directions that he creates love, and that's his core, that he is loved, not because of what he does, but just because. And to feel that, to really practice feeling that, because for a long time I searched for it and tried to earn it and win it. And there's a phrase that goes something, you can never get enough of what you don't really need. And that's how I felt I was running on this hamster wheel of trying to earn my dad's love or my parents' love. And in certain ways, but in certain ways, they were giving it, but I was not receiving it unless it came through a certain door that had a very achievement-based, kind of definition to it. So that's what I would say is like, this is the real key. And if you do this, you're going to really enjoy the journey a lot more.
That's beautiful. And I'm not a proponent for New Year's resolutions. I am proponent for words, mantras, and I shared that my word is joy. Do you have a word or a mantra for 2021? And if so, share it with us.
Beautiful. So it's like, I don't have one word. I'm Deb, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm someone that I'm a big believer that, why use 10 words when you can say the exact same thing in 100? So what I'm feeling for 2021 is really that it's going to be a year for me of meditation and stillness. I have brought meditation into my life in a real strong way over the last 4 months, and it has been profound. And I'm realizing that the quieter I get and the more still I can become, the more that life flows for me. And as weird as this sounds, 2020 was an exceptional year for me on every level. And I feel weird saying that, but it was phenomenal. And I grew in so many ways, and life worked in just a beautiful way for me. And I credit a lot of that to getting quieter. And I'm excited to move more deeply into that and allow life so I think stillness, boy, man, that was too many words, but stillness and allowing, I don't know, I need a better word, but allowing. I want to allow life to come through me this year.
You're allowing the space.
Yeah.
As a yoga teacher, you're getting a virtual high five.
Mm.
In my challenge that I ran, that was one of the biggest elements that the participants enjoyed. Was I modeled the strong morning routine. And I often say on this podcast, a lot of people will say to me, but that's such common sense. Common sense does not mean that it's your common practice. And I have meditated for years, and I will tell you that a mind that does not have to work in a chaotic environment and has pure clarity has limitless potential.
That's beautiful.
And you're entering into alpha. Alpha waves solve a lot of problems. They solve all problems.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. Have you ever heard of a guy by the name of Neville Goddard, like it from the 50s or something? Like he was one of those early pioneers in intentional thought and conscious thought. I had never heard of him. So have you ever heard that name?
I have not. No.
Yeah. So I'm listening to his audiobooks right now. And one of them is The Power of Awareness. And one of the things I just heard, so this is from the 50s, right? So this is a very long time ago. He said that in the universe, like, so solar bodies, there's a law of least action. So, and basically it's like when a solar body is going to go around the sun or find their orbit, they take the path of least action. Like whatever's easiest is where they end up finding their groove. And the way, anyway, he much more eloquently explained it. But what I realized is I was really under the belief that harder is better. Harder is, hard. And not that there's no work. I'm not saying that, but I feel that there is this ability to make it easier, to allow life to be easier. And part of that is really creating the space and being quieter, like, and just not believing that rewards only come from hard, so that's the only way to get there. So I'm really excited about exploring that more.
Well, you head back to October 2020, and there's a phenomenal gentleman that I interviewed by the name of Dr. James Hart, and he owns the Cybernaut Institute. And if you want to take it to another level, and he can take you back to the 17 and 1800s on this. One of the coolest interviews I did last year on Imperfect. And again, you know me, I'm a connector. I will introduce you.
I would love that.
He brings meditation, biofeedback to an exceptional level for really being conscious with your astuteness, your intellect, and the on-ramp to that is getting quiet, embracing the space, the silence, and just being, so that the clarity can really focus in and hone on where you want to go. And, it's like anything else. The hardest part is starting. Yes, your mind will race, but it's like anything else. You form the habit and you just keep practicing and showing up. And over time, you'll start to see the small wins. And it's a really nice space to be in, because when you have, again, that joy and that purpose in your heart, which is aligned with your mind, you just can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, that's it. right? That's the game. And most of us totally get it when it comes to our physical well-being, but that we need to go to the gym. We need to have a practice of taking care of ourselves physically. But it's often, something that we tend to neglect or not see the direct comparison of building muscles when it comes to our mental, emotional, and spiritual selves. And that's what I hear. And that's what I've experienced this year, is actually taking the time to build some of those muscles a little bit and to get into the routine of, practicing. And it's been really, really rewarding.
Well, I love that cliche we often say, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Win-win is really just a frame of our mind and heart aligned, because when our mind and our hearts are aligned, then it's a mutual benefit for ourselves, our whole selves, and all of our human interactions. And when we feel good about things, it helps us commit to be actionable.
So true. I believe that heart mind, coherence, that's it. Like, I didn't realize I had done the head stuff. I had done the mind, but connecting my heart was the miss that I was, that was the miss that I wasn't aware that I was, I didn't know that I didn't know that. And so that work of really getting in tune with my heart and then connecting it with an intention from my mind, that's going to be the practice, is really to build those muscles. And there's some great, it's just, there's thankfully, again, like having the pocket, being around real amazing people, there's a lot of great work out there. And thanks to technology, we have a lot of access to people that we wouldn't normally have access to. And so that's on my personal growth, course for this, for this year.
And then you land up crossing paths with me, and I run a heart-centered leadership podcast on your platform. Go
Yeah,
figure.
you have been such a blessing. I just have been so excited to know you, and I'm just so grateful. So this is such a good way to start the year, is to have this time and conversation with you.
Well, I'm glad our paths crossed. You were worth making that scary phone call. And I want you to know, from my heart to yours, I value your time. I value your expertise. I always learn something when I talk to you. And just know that I choose joy as my word this year. And I know there's going to be more conversations and more collaboration with you this year. And I want you to know wholeheartedly, you make me a better leader.
Thank you so much. I feel, and that's beautifully said. And I feel I'm so grateful again to be in your presence. Similarly, like how I feel coming off of our conversations, and even listening to you on interviewing other people, it's just your energy and who you are just makes me feel better. And I think at the fundamental level, yes, I'm learning. Yes, that was inspiring, but I feel better in your presence. And I think that's the best gift anyone could ever give anyone else or the world, is just you create a space where people feel better when they're around you.
Well, that's lovely. Don't make me cry. Don't make me cry on my podcast. That's lovely.
It's true.
Thank
It's
you.
true. Yeah.
Well, I want to leave our listeners with a beautiful quote around joy, because it's my word, and we've got a C-suite leader from InJoy Global, so I thought it was appropriate. Live your life with so much joy that it overflows into the lives of others. This is Deb Crow. Thank you so much for joining me once again on Imperfect, the Heart-Centered Leadership Podcast.